So, hi guys, hope you're well. A little bit different today. Normally, I do the Growth Strategy podcast and live stream where I speak to interesting people who have a great story to tell. And by no means is Natalie not interesting. That's not what today's about. I often get asked about how do people grow their businesses, what can they do to boost sales, or boost profile, that kind of thing. So what I thought I would start doing is actually just to talk about stuff that I do myself in case it's interesting. And then likewise, because it's quite literal, I put my own money, it's got more credibility to it than if I was just recommending kind of random stuff. So the thought behind today is I've been going to introduce you to Natalie, or she can introduce herself. And we're going to talk through a project that we did together about a month ago, I think, give or take.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, must be.
And then the process of what it was, how it kind of played out, the service that Harvey and Hugo did for me, and that kind of thing, but also just talk about general kind of PR and stuff as well. So hopefully it's of interest. If it's not, just don't watch. That's fine. So Natalie, do you want to just kind of introduce yourself to everyone?
Yeah, of course. Hi, everyone. So I'm Natalie. I work at Harvey and Hugo as an account manager. I've been at the company for about 5 years now. So I'd like to think I know all there is to know about PR, content marketing and social media services. And we really enjoyed working with you, Steve.
So are you from the Northeast originally?
I'm from North Yorkshire. I'm from Scarborough.
That still counts.
To tell from my accent, some people say my accent has died down a bit since I've moved to the Northeast. But yeah, I went to Teesside University in Middlesbrough and moved to Darlington for my job. So yeah.
So how did you get into PR? How did you end up at Harvey and Hugo?
So I went to Teesside University in Middlesbrough and I did multimedia journalism there. And I thoroughly enjoyed it, but I tried every different type of work experience I could in the media, from print to radio to TV, and I just wasn't really happy. Nothing felt like it fit. And then in my last year, I realised that I was doing my dissertation and I thought, oh, I need to find a job. So I went to my careers advisor and she pointed me in the direction of Harvey and Hugo and public relations. So I did some work experience with Harvey and Hugo and I just haven't looked back. I got a job as an exec and I've kind of worked my way up in the company to become an account manager. So it's been an amazing 5 years and I've learned so much. And I thank Charlotte and the pack for all the knowledge they've passed on to me. I wouldn't be where I am today without them.
So today we're going to talk about the press release that we did together.
Yeah.
And it was for a tech startup that I got involved with called Ojimi, and they're actually based in Nigeria. And what the guys are looking to do is basically compete against the likes of Amazon to launch a new form of e-commerce platform that's fit for purpose for that part of the world. And just to kind of talk the viewers through if they don't know the backstory, is that in kind of Western Europe and America, you have your Amazon.com that everyone knows what it is, giant warehouses, they ship stuff in bulk, and they've got a very slick logistics system where they deliver it close to site. But essentially with the people that spend money, they spend quite a lot of money. And actually, because you've got very slick road systems and stuff, it kind of works. In places like Nigeria or across Africa or different parts of the world, because you've got a slightly less affluent population, you've got massive geographic regions that, are just dwarf the UK. You've got pretty bad traffic and bad roads that basically that model doesn't in theory work. So what the guys were looking to do and what they are looking to do is develop a new way to link local stores via e-commerce, similar to an Uber Eats type thing, to local delivery riders, so that if you go on the app, it shows you local products that are within a certain radius so that you can actually get a delivery within 2 hours. The reason why I wanted to give the context, because then when it comes to the press release, it kind of makes a bit more sense. So when the team were looking to bring on a board to really help advise them about what they wanted to do, they brought in 5 kind of people from around the world. So there's myself from the UK, you've got a chap from Canada, you've got one in South Africa, you've got one in Nigeria, and I think that's it. And then for me, myself, with my own business, was that I set up on my own in October, give or take, last year. And one of the big things that when you start your own business, it's trying to raise credibility about who you are, what you do, that what you're saying has some sort of credence to it, just so that, you raise your own profile and brand and stuff in the marketplace. So I actually approached the guys at Harvey and Hugo. I see all of their doggy-based social media all over the place, but it stands out. It has a brand, which is good. And then I've also known Charlotte for quite a long time. And what I asked the guys to do was that I had drafted the basic nuts and bolts of a press release, but it was pretty bad. And then it was to work with the guys about how could they promote it for me. So Natalie, do you want to almost take over at that point and just describe kind of what is it you do, how does it work, and that kind of thing?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So kind of to take it back to kind of really at the start. So the PR side of the business, we as a pack love to share knowledge, celebrate success and spread positivity. And that's where our PR services come in. We provide clients with options to increase their brand awareness to their target market, shout out about the great work they do, like what you've done, Steve. And press releases, avatars and profile building opportunities and much more are great ways to do this. And as you know, you've taken up the press release option to share your story and build your brand. So the pack can help clients with either stories they've got and they want to share or find the best angles. So we know that they are going to generate great coverage in the media and in the outlets that your target market are actually engaged with.
I love how you call it the pack as well.
It's all dog themed.
Anyway, so carry on.
Yes, so in this case, you went for a pay as Hugo option for the press release. So just to kind of explain a bit more about the pay as Hugo services, basically what it says on the tin, it's pay for what you need, it's contract free, it's flexible, it's affordable, and it's really simple. It can break down daunting campaigns into little chunks of activity. So if, for example, you have an urgent story and or maybe you want to test the pack skills before you commit to a long-term campaign, the pay-as-you-go release or content marketing or social media service can be kind of the way forward. Another bit of information about our pay-as-you-go services, in April this year, we actually launched a charity campaign. We made the decision to donate 20% of the fee from all of our new pay-as-you-go PR and marketing services to a charity of the client's choice. We actually raised an amazing £600 for charities, which was absolutely fantastic. And because of the great feedback we've got from the charities and from the clients, we want to continue that. We're going to continue to donate 5% to a charity of the client's choice through pay-as-you-go.
Cool. Because almost like from your business point of view, this is a good jumping back to the business strategy side, but almost, you have to still make a profitable business to employ people and do all the good stuff as well. So although you'll always get some people saying, oh, why isn't it 80%? Well, it has to be reasonable, but still, 20% or 5% is massively generous. That it's, no, I think it's brilliant.
Yeah. And it's incredibly important. It's important to support charities at kind of any time, but especially now, especially when charities in this with the COVID and everything, they're really struggling. So if we can give a little bit of a helping hand, and obviously the client gets a choice of to which charity they go to. So it could be their company charity, it could be a charity really close to their heart. It's really personal. So we've had some great feedback, and like I say, we're continuing with the pledge of 5%. And also some more good news regarding our pay-as-you-go. All of our services are being kind of revamped, and we're developing a bespoke software and e-commerce website.
Okay.
So things are set to come in 2021, so watch this space, and more will be revealed shortly. So
on the press release that I did, so I got in touch originally with Charlotte, just because I know her and she's a former guest kind of on this. And it was just to say, look, I knew that she does the pay-as-you-go services, and I still love that name. I just do. And then she introduced me to yourself, and I guess do you class it as an account manager? How do you?
Yeah. So kind of my role is to, once kind of we've got some work, if it's you got in touch with Charlotte, she passes it on to an account manager, which is either myself or Jen, and we kind of take the client then forward and progress the campaign or progress the press release in that sense. So we kind of took your release that you wrote, and we suggested some kind of tweaks to make it a bit more appealing to journalists, make sure that the media would pick it up straight away, and suggested any proofing changes. Once that you were all happy with that, we obviously then distributed the release to Northeast Media, which included print, radio and TV.
Because on this point, it was one of the things that I was very keen to when we edit this down, is that, do you want to explain to people the amount of people this went to? Because we will touch on, if you're happy to, price in later, obviously subject to change. But actually the amount of people that you spent the time to distribute it to was a lot more than I expected. So would you be happy for the Northeast to kind of just tell people, or is that a trade secret?
It's a bit of a trade secret, but in a much. It depends on the client, the industry, kind of where specifically they want to send it to. Obviously, you wanted to target the Northeast because, that's where you're based. Some clients, say if they're just based in Middlesbrough, they're just a purely Middlesbrough business, might only want to send their news to Middlesbrough publications, which is absolutely fine. So kind of our media distribution lists depend on what the aim is, what the angle is, and what the client's goals are. So, and obviously what the journalists want to pick up, obviously we make sure the story is relevant to the journalists that we're sending the stories to. So media distribution lists can vary from, say, 10 publications up to it can go into the hundreds if it's going to trade publications, for example. So it's really varied. But one point that we do make is that we don't just send it to traditional print. We do send it to online publications. We do send it to radio and TV, because there's a lot of, especially in your case, local media outlets that are really passionate about that, and obviously national ones as well. So it's good to send it to a variety there.
I had a lot of people comment on the Gateshead man does this. but again, it makes it local. But again, so we'll talk on why PR is important for businesses and stuff in a second. But, so based on that topic, I'm sure, do you know who Seth Godin is? Marketing genius, bald American man. So he talks about in his books about having your minimum addressable market. So, and you focus purely on that. So for instance, for my own business, I know that even if I only ever focused on the northeast of England, there's more than enough people to go at, if that makes sense. So therefore, everything that I do, the way I geolocate my tweets and Instagram posts, it's all about the northeast, because actually there's still 15,000 businesses in the northeast, which is more than I ever need when I'm looking to promote myself. So actually it was trying not to get distracted to try and send it to Manchester or London, just because I don't have to. And that's why I think
it's very easy to kind of think that I want to send my story everyone to know about it, which is fine, perfectly fine to do so. But like you say, have it more targeted, to run specific campaigns to make sure that you're talking to your target market, and they're reading the online print, they're reading everything that you're sending out, making sure that they're engaging with it as well. It's not just a publication that we found somewhere on Google.
And it's the repetition as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So it's, it's not just, and this, I guess we'll touch on it later, but it's almost where a single one-off post or release once a year will do nothing for you. And for me, it was always about how do I flavour in the different levels of media at different times. So a lot of people know me from online stuff because it's easy to hear a lot of people. So actually the chance to be in the Northern Echo or the Northeast Times, for me, just took my brand up a level, if that makes sense. And that's why I was keen to balance the different forms of promotion, because in many ways it makes it a lot more credible. And then what I was very keen to do was that when I was fortunate enough that I think the first one to pick it up was the Northern Echo, to then take that, and I reposted it on my socials. So even on my own LinkedIn, it got about 10 or 11,000 views from a credible source that this guy in Gateshead is involved with this project. But that's the reason I did it. It wasn't necessarily to tell people about the project, although it's a great project. It's trying to build the brand and the credibility and then hit a new audience. So that's why I was kind of keen to engage. So we've talked about how the kind of distribution side, but I was also quite impressed about the follow-ups and that kind of things. Do you want to just talk people through that?
Yeah, of course. So once we've distributed the release, the work doesn't stop there. We then make sure that we're checking all the publications for any coverage, and then we also update the client as soon as we spot that coverage. But then we also, like you say, we do follow-ups with the media. We don't just let the press release sit there in their inbox. We give them a call. We have some great relationships with the media, especially in the Northeast. So we go quite happily just to pick up the phone, give them a call, make sure that they've got all the information they need. We can help set up extra interviews or organise additional photos if they need it. And a little extra bit of communication helps to make sure that they've acknowledged the release and they've got all the information they need, but also helps just to remind them that it's there and that they've got a piece of content ready to share on their outlet.
Because that was one of the things that I was quite impressed about that I didn't expect. It was almost a part of me thought, because in former jobs I've had to write press releases, and generally with a lot of press releases, and it's why I kind of wrote the first draft, it was that there's a structure to it and you put the bits in. But almost in many ways for a lot of people it's like a fire and forget thing where you write it, you put it on your distributions, ping it out, but then you get distracted with other stuff. So I was always really impressed with the follow-ups and that kind of thing afterwards, because I thought, you know, it made it added a lot more value to kind of the service.
Yeah, we've had that great feedback before as well. It's all about, like I say, the relationship we've built up with the press. The media know that we're going to send them a good story. We'll never send them a story that won't be relevant to them or their audience. That's why we're quite a trusted company in that sense. And they know that they can pretty much sometimes take the story as it's written and pop it straight into online or pop it straight into the paper. So that's where that relationship and that good reputation we've built has kind of come into play there. So it really is helpful to us.
Oh, cool. So again, a big part of everything I try and do in some ways is that you get a lot of business owners or people starting up. And I had someone approach me this morning, say that they want to launch their own thing. They don't know how to write a business plan that the bank are going to ask for. How do they do that? So basically, I guess anyone that follows my channel is a friend anyway, but so I'm just going to send them something for free, because that's just the way I would do it. But my point is that there's a lot of people looking to learn stuff from scratch, if that makes sense. So almost if you were to give like a 2-3 minute answer about why PR is important, what would you say?
PR is incredibly important to businesses in general, any business. It's a great way to make sure that you're maintaining relationships with the public. It's a great way to make sure your story is being heard, is being shared. And it's a great way to just make sure that you're spreading the great news that, you know, you're creating. You're doing so many amazing things in your company. And even though it might just seem like, oh, we've hired someone, it's fine, it's all the boxes are being ticked, let's get them started. It's a great story, especially in, you know, this kind of world where jobs are few and far between at the moment. People are losing out on jobs. If you're hiring someone and it's a significant appointment, it's a great story to share. It's great to show that you're supporting charities. It's making sure that you know that there is an outlet out there. And I know that quite a lot of companies out there are thinking, oh, we need to pull back on marketing and PR to save on costs. We don't want to be seen as though we're doing well when we're having to make redundancies or things like that. And obviously it's very unfortunate that companies are having to do that. But at the same time, now is the perfect time to actually be doing marketing. As the companies are pulling back, your competitors are pulling back. Now is the perfect time to make sure that your voice is being heard, because even if you think of terms like advertising, it's now a bit cheaper to advertise on social media and things like that. There's space in the new media and in the news for stories. So now is the perfect time to kind of get there and get on the marketing horse and start riding, because it's going to be a great way to move forward. If you've got any questions, don't hesitate to get in touch with the pack. There's so many ways to get in touch with us. You can call us, throw us a bone, as we like to say, get in contact via the website or contact us on social media. We're more than happy to offer advice and help spread your great news, because that's what we're here to do, and we need to make sure there's more positivity and great stories out there at the moment.
Cool. So just to anyone that does watch this, this is not a paid ad. This is not anything sponsored or whatever. It's just a case of this is a project that we went through, that I paid for with my own money, etc. And I chose these guys to work with because I see what they do. I like the values about how they do it, but almost how they've promoted themselves for the 10 years or so that the company's kind of been going as well. I think PR is massively important for anyone. If you're a sole trader and you do 20 grand a year doing quilted knitting jumpers, I don't know, whatever. Obviously that was a terrible analogy, but my point is there's a great way to get the story out there, and actually it's finding your target market and then layering in your promotion to build trust and credibility and brand over time, and actually being aware enough to do it through different channels. Like, because it's not a pet peeve, but I do notice it. I know a lot of people that only promote their business online. So they've got a big thing about email and Twitter, and they only do email and Twitter. And one of my things is that, but you can add so much more credibility and depth to your message if you also do, yes, your other social channels, but some post mail, something in the newspapers, something, because it's the credibility piece that whenever you say something about yourself, it doesn't have the same level of trust, because you could say whatever you want. If it actually comes from a trusted source, which is arguably been vetted by a PR company, then a newspaper, it will have so much more impact in trying to build momentum and trust with your audience. So I definitely kind of agree with the process, and it's definitely worth kind of looking at. And Natalie, thank you for your time. We said we'd keep it short and sweet. I appreciate your time. I'm sure we will speak again soon. And I would like to close on a very clever dog pun, but I can't think of one. So anyway.
I have to add one in later.
Cool. Well, anyway, thank you for your time, and I'm sure we'll catch up soon.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
No worries. Cheers. Bye.
Bye.